Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Montreal Day Recap. Gauff survives, Andreeva falls, Mboko shines at home. Coco Gauff once again escaped after a tight battle against Veronika Kudermetova, despite a flurry of double faults. Mirra Andreeva, meanwhile, exited the tournament in her opening match, beaten by the surprising Kessler. The sensation of the day came from Diana Mboko, who continues her dream run in front of her home crowd. Diana Yastremska, Zhu Lin, and Marta Kostyuk also impressed in a completely shaken-up top half of the draw. Coco Gauff isn't playing her best tennis, but she's still standing. Against Veronika Kudermetova, the American had to dig deep to turn around a tricky situation, 4-6, 7-5, 6-2. But beyond the scoreline, her level of play remains concerning, erratic from the baseline, and especially shaky on serve. After hitting 23 double faults in her previous match, a personal record, Gauff added 14 more against Kudermetova. Still, her resilience, physical power, and fierce competitiveness continue to carry her through the key moments. With the U.S. Open on the horizon, she'll need to find answers quickly. Nearly 2 months have passed since her title at Roland Garros, and she has yet to rediscover that level. Granted direct entry into the third round thanks to a protected ranking and Andreescu's withdrawal, Mirra Andreeva failed to capitalize. The Russian teenager lost her opening match to Ashlyn Kruger-Kessler, 7-6, 6-4, in a wild and error-strewn contest. The match featured 14 breaks of serve. Andreeva served twice for the first set, at 5-4 and 6-5, but couldn't close it out. She also appeared to twist her ankle midway through the match and never regained her rhythm. A frustrating early exit that halts her summer momentum. A strong performance from Diana Yastremska saw her take down Emma Navarro in 2 tight sets, 7-5, 6-4. After a balanced opening set, the Ukrainian capitalized on Navarro's collapse in the second, winning 5 straight games from 1-4 down. True to her aggressive style, Yastremska picks up another notable win during this North American swing, where she's been hot and cold over the past few weeks. Beating Navarro is a solid result, even if the American wasn't at her sharpest. Things will only get tougher from here. Next up is likely Elena Rybakina, one of the most consistent players on tour of late. She's the hometown hero of the tournament. Mirra Andreeva, just 18 years old, continues her fairy tale run in front of her home crowd. After stunning Sofia Kenin, she backed it up with another comeback win over Marie Buzkova, 1-6, 6-3, 6-0, showing incredible energy and composure. Outplayed in the opening set, the Canadian teenager flipped the script and finished with a commanding bagel. She'll now face Coco Gauff in what promises to be a blockbuster round of 16 clash. Out for months with injury, Zhu Lin is slowly finding her form. Now ranked 493 in the world, the former Grand Slam seed used a protected ranking to enter the draw, and is making the most of it. After defeating Ekaterina Alexandrova, the Chinese player cruised past Susan Layman's, 6-2, 6-2, with renewed confidence and precision. She's already guaranteed to climb 189 spots in the WTA rankings, and looks ready to go further. Before arriving in Montreal, Marta Kostyuk had lost 6 consecutive matches on tour. Seeded number 24 and given a first-round bye, the Ukrainian has finally turned things around with 2 gritty comeback wins. First over Marketa Vondrasova, 2-6, 6-3, 6-2. Then against Daria Kasatkina, 3-6, 6-3, 7-6-4. A timely resurgence. If her form holds, she could set up an all-Ukrainian quarterfinal against Diana Yastremska, provided Kessler and Rybakina don't have other plans. In the heart of Montreal, where maple leaves swayed in summer breezes and the crowds pulsed with energy under the soft twilight of Day 4, 3 stories emerged, each a different thread in the rich tapestry of women's tennis. Coco Gauff, the resilient American star, battled her demons and her opponent to survive another day. Mirra Andreeva, the precocious Russian talent who has dazzled all year, saw her run cut short by fate and unrelenting opposition. And in the middle of it all, a hometown prodigy, Teen Victoria Mboko rose from promise to performance, shining like a northern star before her Canadian fans. It was a day of grit, surprise, and blooming promise. Here's how it all unfolded. Coco Gauff's grit overcomes the ghosts of double faults. There's something magnetic about Coco Gauff on a tennis court. Even when her game falters, even when her serve betrays her, as it often has in recent months, there's a fight in her that demands to be watched. And on this humid Montreal evening, Gauff turned a match that teetered on the brink into another chapter of her legend. Her opponent, a battle-hardened baseliner from Eastern Europe, saw an opening. The first set told a story Gauff fans have read before. Double faults at key moments, momentum slipping, coach looking nervously from the box. She dropped the first set 4-6. But where others might spiral, Gauff gathers herself. She doesn't just play tennis, she wrestles with it. She stared down 14 more double faults, yes, 14, and still managed to claw her way back. Her return game kicked into gear. Her forehand began painting lines. And suddenly, the crowd could feel it too. She wasn't going to let this one go. Down a break in the decider, she scrambled like few can, chasing drop shots and turning defense into blistering counterattacks. A roar, come on, at 4-4 echoed around Stade IGA like a battle cry. In that moment, the 20-year-old wasn't just playing a match. She was setting a tone for the tournament. She won 4-6, 6-3, 7-5. Not elegant, not dominant, but unforgettable. Andreeva's fall. A teen star learns a hard lesson. If Gauff's match was a display of battle-tested poise, Mirra Andreeva's outing was a painful lesson in the cruelty of elite tennis. The 17-year-old Russian has taken the tour by storm this season. With a game that blends finesse, angles, and maturity beyond her years, Andreeva has been touted as the next big thing. But on this day, the bounce of the court and the bounce of a ball just didn't cooperate. Her opponent, a savvy veteran ranked just outside the top 30, came in with a game plan. Hit deep, rush her on the second serve, and make her uncomfortable. It worked. Andreeva's footwork, usually razor-sharp, looked off. Her forehand was inconsistent. Even her favorite backhand down the line betrayed her under pressure. Andreeva, frustrated, flung her racket once, not out of anger, but of disbelief. The margins are thin in tennis. A let cord here, a miss-hit there, and a dream run ends in silence. She fell 6-2, 6-4. The score didn't reflect how much fight she showed in the second set, saving 3 match points before finally succumbing. But it did reflect reality. The climb is steep, and even prodigies must learn to fall before they rise again. Mboko's moment, Canadian teen electrifies home crowd. But perhaps the most inspiring story of the day didn't come from a Grand Slam champion or a top 10 seed. It came from a 17-year-old wild card who turned the Montreal night into her personal coming-out party. Victoria Mboko wasn't supposed to be here. Not in the second round, not pushing a top 50 player to the edge, and certainly not stealing the hearts of an entire stadium. But here she was, striding onto court like she owned it, cheered on by chants of "Let's go, Victoria!" Born in Toronto to Congolese parents, Mboko has long been whispered about in Canadian tennis circles. Today, she shouted her arrival. She played bold. Her backhand was a whip. Her serve, though not as fast as the big hitters, was placed with precision. And most importantly, she smiled. She smiled between points. She smiled after misses. She looked like someone falling in love with the moment. Her opponent, seasoned and grizzled, underestimated her early. Mboko took the first set 7-5, with fearless down-the-line winners and crafty net play that recalled a young Ash Barty. The second set was tighter, more nerves, more errors, but she never faded. She kept going. Ultimately, she won in straight sets 7-5, 6-4, clinching the match with a delicate volley that had the crowd on its feet for over a minute. She didn't scream. She didn't drop to her knees. She simply nodded and raised her racket to a hometown that had just found a new favorite. A night of contrast and continuity. What made this day in Montreal so electric wasn't just the individual stories. It was the contrast between them. In Gauff, we saw a player who has tasted the highest highs and is now fighting her way through the trenches of expectation and inconsistency. She didn't play her best, but she played her hardest. And in doing so, she reminded the world why she's a force in women's tennis. In Andreeva, we saw a player on the edge of greatness, learning in real time what the WTA demands. Her grace in defeat, despite her disappointment, only reinforces how special she is. One loss doesn't derail destiny. It refines it. And in Mboko we saw a spark. A fresh face with the fire to match. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Canadian tennis isn't just Bianca or Layla anymore. There's another name to learn. Voices from the locker room. In the post-match press conferences, the emotions were just as raw. Gauff spoke candidly. I know people are tired of hearing about my serve. I'm tired of hearing about it. But I'm working on it. I'm not perfect. But I'm here. And I'm fighting. That's what matters today. Andreeva, with a wry smile, admitted, I felt like my strings weren't talking to me today. That's tennis. Sometimes the court isn't your friend. But I'll be better. I promise you that. Mboko, glowing in front of a buzzing media scrum, said, I grew up watching this tournament. I would come here as a kid and dream of playing on these courts. Now I've won here. That's wow. That's special. The bigger picture. Tournaments like the Canadian Open are often viewed as warm-ups for the slams. But anyone watching today would argue otherwise. These are the battles that shape players. Not just physically, but mentally. It's in these dogfights that champions are molded. Gauff learned to trust her will again. Andreeva learned that loss doesn't mean failure. Mboko learned that the crowd can carry you to places you didn't believe were reachable. The Canadian fans, known for their love of hockey, are quickly becoming some of the most passionate tennis supporters in the world. Tonight, they had plenty to cheer for, and even more to dream about. What comes next? For Gauff, the road doesn't get easier. She'll face a fellow top 10 player in the next round, where her serve must show up, or her exit will come swiftly. Andreeva will return to training. Maybe even to her journal, where she's known to write about her matches. This one will sting, but it will also serve as fuel.